This is the first crane I built. I think it's called a boom derrick crane. So there's a mast, and the mast is supported by guy wires that go out to some anchor points far away, and then you have a boom that gets lowered off the top of the mast, and then a cable that runs up the boom that can also raise and lower the load. Super great design. I got the idea from an old boom derrick that was out in the woods near my house that used to be part of a granite quarry. Only problem with it is those guy wires just are kind of in the way of everything, and they got to run way out so you can swing the boom underneath them. The whole apparatus kind of pivots, so the mast and the boom pivot around together. Here's the one out in the woods that pivots on that big steel plate there. This one out in the woods is probably, I don't know, 100 to 120 feet tall. Huge, old. Here's a picture of that boom derrick that I made. It's just a game changer for being able to raise the heavy rafters like this and just put them where you wanted them. Super nice also because you can take it down, recut it, put it back. So sweet. Love it. After building that boom derrick, I decided to make a couple of stiff leg derricks. One that was going to be ballasted by a pickup truck, you see in this sketch I drew, and another one that was ballasted by a concrete base and then some anchors sunk in the ground to stabilize it. Here's the first iteration of that truck crane. And here's the stiff leg derrick that I built that's fixed on the ground. This one's, as you saw from that diagram, a little bit long. The boom's 30 feet and the mast is 20 feet. Here I am that's actually testing it out, seeing how many logs it can pick up. That creaking you hear is the whole apparatus turning in the bottom socket it sits in. I'll show you some pictures of that in a minute. You can't see it in this picture, but the mast is turning also with the boom. Here's the winches on the truck crane. Worm drive winches, which are wonderful because wherever you stop turning them, they just fix and lock at that point. Up, down, just go back and forward, and it goes up and down. They're slow, but they're strong, and that ability not to run away is huge. This is us using that crane to raise these big rafter plates up to the second floor of the cabin. It just completely changed. Somehow, working with a crane like this quite quickly changes your perspective on what you can accomplish, because all of a sudden you can safely and conveniently lift heavy things. So it allows you to get better fits and be safer, obviously, and just generally makes the part of the job that you used to dread, like trying to struggle up a ladder with a log, into something that's kind of fun. I'm not saying it's exactly safe, but it's a lot safer than trying to do it by hand. So here's some specifics. Here's the base, and you can see how that base on the truck crane sits on the ground and then is ballasted on the front by this, well, when I first did it with this piece of angle iron, which bent. That's kind of a stress point, and we replaced it with a heavier log. And here's the top, so you can see how the mast can spin in those stays on the top of the stiff legs. This is the base for the big crane I built. That's the crane with the 20-foot mast and the 30-foot boom. You can see the concrete. I think I put 10 80-pound bags of concrete in on that base to support it. So 800 pounds of ballast there. And then up here is the top. I think that's 6-inch well casing on top there. None of these dimensions are critical. It's not like it was engineered. I think it's 8-inch pipe on the bottom. that the mast sits in, and 6-inch on top here. And you can't really see the pivot point that the stiff legs turn on there. I'll get a better picture of that somewhere. There's the top of the boom. I think that's 5-inch diameter pipe, maybe 7 inches long. And you see on the bottom the pulley that goes down to the load, and then on the top is the cable that raises and lowers the boom. There's another image of the bottom base of the crane. So those are, that green pipe is 8 inches in diameter, and pieces are about 8 or 10 inches long. Wish it was a little longer on the one on the bottom of the boom, actually. And there are the worm drive winches with the cable guides. Those winches have handles, but you can hook a drill to them too. Here's the base of the truck crane. You can see that discolored portion is the piece that sits, that's where it sits in the metal socket. I believe that's a 5-inch socket that it sits in on that, with that big metal plate on it. And the metal plate has 4 holes that we can drive those big long pins in to stabilize it. And then it also has a piece, you can see that collar that has a piece on it that fits in the truck receiver hitch. And then below that you see the pivot point where the boom attaches. Here's the top of the mast and the pin that the stiff legs attach to, so that when the boom spins, the mast can spin with it, and the stiff legs obviously stay in place, and the mast spins under them. I think that's a 4-inch diameter, maybe it's a 5-inch diameter, 4 or 5-inch diameter metal pipe on the top there. Here are the tops of the stiff legs, and this is after I repaired them. Further on in this video, I'll show how they failed, or one of them failed, and how I repaired it. But anyway, you see the loops on the end of those metal, where there's that metal rod is bent around into a loop. That's what goes over the pin on top of the mast. And that's the top of the truck crane boom. So that clevis on top would get attached to the cable that runs off the top of the mast. And then on the bottom there is the pulley and the cable that runs the load off the end of the boom. Once again, I'm not exactly sure the dimensions. I think that's 3-inch, a piece of 3-inch pipe, about 5 inches long on there. And there's the heavy, a little hard to see in this picture, but that heavier log is the one that has the 2 pans on it that the truck tires rest on to ballast the crane. The front truck tires rest on that, and then the mast has that piece of receiver steel on it that goes in the truck towing hitch. Now for the fun part, crane failure. One of the things I really don't like about this crane design, I guess it's probably true of all crane designs, it seems like single point failure can be catastrophic. Like cable breaks, winch comes loose, boom breaks, any one component can break and the entire system collapses. There's not really any redundancy built into it. That said, the 2 times so far that we've had crane failure, it hasn't been catastrophic. In the first one, the old, different, not these crank hand worm winches, but an old worm drive winch we were using ran away and dropped the load.
What happened? I don't know. Watch out.
And in the second failure, we were trying to unload a heavy planer off the back of the pickup truck with a truck crane way off to the side, and it bent one of the stays on the stiff leg.
The crane main upright is way bent over.
Yeah, and look how bent this leg is.
Yeah, it is very bent.
What we gotta do is
Yeah, what do you want to do? I think we have to boom up. Wait. Hang on. Is it bending the metal?
on the top of there.
Yeah.
Could be. That looks
I
farther
think it
out.
folded it right over. Wish there was a cutter for it.
Leave that club straight on there.
Doesn't even look like there's a spot for one.
Pick up that end and just very lightly pick it up and pull it to yourself. There we go. That's out. You can just set that down. I think I'll probably back the trailer around here, maybe. Yeah. Or we could just start. All right. So you're you took the straps off.
Straps off. Do you want me to start taking these down?
No. Drive the truck out of it, and then we'll just flop it over. Pull that pin right there from the receiver.
Piece of shit. Hasn't even been used in smoking. Piece of fucking crap.
Nice.
She's a little toy.
Cool. I think you can drive it out of there now. Your brakes are locked up on the back, I think. So what are you gonna do if the brakes are frozen up? You're gonna just park it here until you can...
I'm gonna beat the fuck out of them until they're not frozen up anymore.
See if you can lift that off of there. Perfect. Back up a little bit. Yeah, they're definitely frozen up, those back tires. Oh, not frozen anymore.
I think you could pull that one that way, or I'll pull that one that way. Then we just lay it down here, or you want to do it and go?
I'm not sure if it'll, which way it'll lay down easier, if we lay it down that way or if we try to lay it back this way. I don't know. Let's try laying it back this way because I'm kind of curious to see if that'll work. And wait, if shit goes wrong, let's just drop it and get out of the way. Okay. Think you like swapping sideways? I think you should bring your post toward me for
Yeah, I'm just trying to
bring yours toward me and then we'll just let it flop.
Sure, if I can anything I can.
Just get on this side of get your post on that side of the foam so it doesn't break the foam. Alright, it's going, get out of the way, get out of the way! Wound up we were about checking that nut to make sure it wasn't loosened up, and then we totally forgot about it. Now it won't even come off. I think there's a pipe wrench in my box. No?
Pretty sure it's stainless.
Yeah, I don't know where I got a 1-inch stainless fine thread.
Rusty fucking stainless. Did you get me struggling?
I hoped I did. Thing's actually pretty heavy.